first lived in Latvia as a diplomat between 1996 and 1999, a few years after Latvia regained independence from the crumbling Soviet Union. I returned to live in Latvia in 2022. This podcast series is based on my observations and experience, with some history and comparisons with my home country of England on aspects of life in Latvia and things to see and experience. On Ķemeri. Ķemeri is a former resort. It has seen many highs, like being regarded as an outstanding spa of the Russian Empire, rebuilt to be one of the finest resorts in the Baltics during Latvia's first independence, and later developed into a sanatorium for the Soviet elite during the Russian occupation, to the lows of being destroyed during the World Wars or from neglect. When Latvia regained independence in the 1990s, it was practically abandoned. I cannot recall visiting the town during my time as a diplomat in Latvia in the second half of the 1990s. A love of hydrangeas took me there in 2023. I was amazed to find this wonderful space of sculpted park and Russian Empire, First Latvian Republic and Soviet occupation history on Riga's doorstep. Most tourists, and locals for that matter, go to Jūrmala's main resorts of Zintāri and Majori. They don't go that little bit further inland to Ķemeri. It is a stop on the railway line between Riga and Tukums, or a short 30-minute drive from Riga. Join me as we explore Ķemeri and its rich history. A history of Ķemeri and its ups and downs. Ķemeri is located at the western end of Jūrmala, between lakes and swamps, rich in sulphur springs. The name Ķemeri, Kämmern in German, first appeared after the founding of the Dukedom of Courland in 1561. The springs at Ķemeri became known for their curative properties in 1796. Ailing Baltic German noblemen of the Ķemeri region came here for treatment and stayed with local foresters. A chemical analysis of Ķemeri spring waters was first carried out in St. Petersburg in 1801. The first public bathing establishment in Ķemeri was built in 1838 on a state-owned plot of land that had been allocated for sulphur water therapy purposes by Emperor Nicholas I. This is regarded as the year of the founding of the resort. From then onwards, people started to come here for treatment. The Ķemeri railway station was established in 1877 along with the Riga to Tukums railway line opening. The resort experienced a rapid flourishing. The Ķemeri resort became popular in the Russian Empire. In 1912, a direct railway link was created between Ķemeri and Moscow. An electrical tram provided the connection with the beach of Young Ķemeri. Nerve disease and diseases of joints, bones and muscles were treated at the resort. Treatment with sulphuric water and mud baths was also carried out. The annual number of people visiting the resort reached 8,300. During the First World War, there was active fighting in the area of Ķemeri and Tyrol Perths, and the resort suffered serious damage. The train station was destroyed. But Ķemeri recovered quickly after the war. The newly created Republic of Latvia tried to restore the previous glory of Ķemeri. In 1924, a special bathing facility was built for mud baths, equipped with a mechanical hot mud feed and the pumping of used mud back to the bog. In 1929, a 42-metre tall water tower with a sightseeing platform on the top was built near this bathing facility. Ķemeri was granted the status of a town in 1928. Similar to Sigulda, Ķemeri became a favourite among holidaymakers from Riga. Hotel Ķemeri, called the White Ship, had more than 100 rooms designed by the highly regarded Latvian architect of Baltic German descent, Āģens Lauba, and the Spa Hotel's chief doctor and director, Dr. Jānis Libietis. The hotel was opened to guests in 1936. Dr. Libietis managed the Ķemeri complex from 1928 to 1944, when he escaped Latvia and sought asylum in Sweden. The resort was closed during the Second World War, and the Ķemeri Hotel was equipped to treat military personnel. During the Soviet occupation of Latvia, the hotel was transformed into the Ķemeri sanatorium with rooms for 300 patients. It was the main health facility in the area and used advanced medical equipment and the latest therapeutic methods. An electric train line to Ķemeri was opened in 1951. In 1959, Ķemeri became part of the Jūrmala city administration. During the Soviet times, the resort was significantly expanded, and in 1971 was given the status of a resort of Soviet Union importance, the only one in the Baltic republics of the Soviet Union. The flourishing resort declined in the 1990s when the economic situation changed after the restoration of Latvia's independence. The number of tourists decreased rapidly, and in 1995, Ķemeri Resort was closed. In 1998, after years of abandonment, the sanatorium was purchased by Omin Assis Italia and renovation started, apparently. Nowadays, the area of Ķemeri Resort is regarded as a monument of urban construction of national significance in Latvia. Work on restoring the park began in 2017 on behalf of Jūrmala City Council and was completed in 2022. Some 50 hectares of park and adjoining streets were renovated. I also read that 5,000 hydrangeas and roses were planted. Wow, that is one roller coaster of a ride for a resort. A walk around Ķemeri Park. If you come by train, get off at Ķemeri Station, rebuilt in 1922 after the previous station was destroyed in the First World War. It is a 1-hour train ride from Riga Central Station. Head north by foot along Tukuma Iela for 7 minutes. If you come by car, park in the car park by the water tower. You can't miss the 42-metre high red and white tower. The tower is a good place to start our walk. It was built in 1929 as, wait for it, a tower to supply water. After renovation in 2021, it was open to visitors and is open daily from May until October, free of charge. In other times of the year, it can be visited by prior booking. There is an exhibition about the history of Ķemeri and the water tower inside. A staircase winds its way up to the upper exhibition floor, and if you book in advance, you can go up the narrow staircase to a viewing platform on top of the tower. I'm told there is a good view of the surrounding park from up there, but you wouldn't get me climbing those steps. They are safe, just not for people afraid of heights. The tower is within the landscape park of Ķemeri. This is well maintained, with paved tracks heading in different directions through formal gardens and pine tree groves. You can't get lost, as there are many ironwork signposts. And anyway, you can see the tower to get your bearings. The park was developed in 1839 by the head gardener of Riga, Carlis Heinrich Wagner, and was continually improved for over 100 years. Not by Mr. Wagner, of course, but by his sons, all free of charge work. Ķemeri Hotel was built in 1936, and strolling in the park became part of the spa's treatments. The park has numerous bridges with whimsical names like the Bridge of Sighs, the Bridge of Whims, and the Musical Bridge. Ķemeri Park is Latvia's oldest and largest public park outside of Riga. In 2023, it came second in the European Garden Award in the Management or Development of a Historical Park or Garden category. I'm not surprised. It was the reason we wanted to visit Ķemeri, to see its magnificent gardens of hydrangea. These popular flower bushes in Latvia stand in front of the Ķemeri Hotel. Beautiful white flowers. It's a pity that hotel has a metal fence around it. I must find out what is happening to the hotel. After leaving the tower, go around it 180 degrees and walk alongside the small river to the Little Lizard. This beautiful ornate white pavilion looks like it was made of lace. Just below the pavilion by the river is a sculpture of a boy on a dolphin. You can taste the sulphuric water coming from the sculpture. Don't worry too much. The hydrogen sulfide water is tested yearly, although it doesn't meet EU drinking water standards. I had no after effects from drinking a handful. 'Tis a bit smelly though. Next, head to the White Liner, the former sanatorium and hotel. This grand, very white neoclassicism-style hotel was built in 1936 by the architect Eugene Lauber. It was constructed by the state for 2.5 million lats. That's about 3.5 million euro. And was regarded as the most magnificent hotel in the Baltics. The ground floor offered therapeutic services. The upper floors had hotel rooms. During the Soviet occupation, it became a high-class sanatorium, using modern equipment and treatment for the privileged elite. There used to be a direct railway line between Ķemeri and Moscow, and Ķemeri was awarded the Resort of Soviet Union importance, I guess equivalent to a 5-star rating on TripAdvisor. Sit on one of the many benches in the garden in front of the hotel. Imagine what the scene might have been like 50 years ago. Russian generals, newly off the train from Moscow, parading around in their military uniforms with their wives or lovers in the park, before taking a sulphur bath treatment, or having tea in one of the pavilions. By the way, Russian sugar in Soviet times did not dissolve. You popped the sugar cube into your mouth and drank your tea through it, then disposed of the cube. That was my experience. As you walk around the park, you will find the Islet of Love. This stone rotunda is in a classicist style on an artificial island. You can go to the top. The iron and wooden staircase isn't as scary as the water tower's staircase. There is also a small drink store underneath the rotunda, possibly the only place to get refreshments in Ķemeri. There is also a rather nice play area for children and a short boardwalk through a pine tree glade. Close by is St. Apostles Peter and Paul Orthodox Church, built of wood without nails in 1893. 4 years later, a Lutheran church was built, and 2 years after that, the Roman Catholic Church. Sounds to me like there was a bit of competition going on. I met Alexandra Stramkala from the Jurmala Tourism Information Centre to learn more about Ķemeri. What makes Ķemeri such a special place to visit?
I think Ķemeri has its long and very interesting history of resort. Nowadays, even the term of resort becomes more and more vital because people started to return to some natural things, natural curation, also thinking of keeping fit and healthy without taking chemical medicines. That's why this becomes more and more important to keep and to, let's say, to develop the resort territories. And that's why I think Ķemeri has a lot of things and a lot of natural resources, including mineral waters of 3 types, including healing muds of 2 types that are located in the territory of Ķemeri National Park. As the underground waters come so close to the ground, we have several of natural mineral water springs there. And if you come to Ķemeri, you can even feel this aroma of sulfur in the air. And of course, that makes people feel this special atmosphere of Ķemeri Park.
Yeah, I even tasted it from that little fountain with the boy and the dolphin.
Yeah.
I read afterwards maybe I shouldn't have done, but I certainly wasn't ill. But you could smell the sulphur. But it was such a beautiful and nice place. As a resort, though, it's had highs when it's been extremely popular, lots and lots of people coming there, and lows during the wars and then actually in the 1990s when it stopped being regarded as a resort. And now to me it seems to be coming back up. What can one see? If one goes there as a visitor, what can one see of its history and the things you've just been talking about, those times when people went there for treatment?
If we speak about Ķemeri, historical part of Ķemeri National Park, this resort, really it's worth visiting. I would say now it is must-have to visit in Jurmala. And also we are very happy that this year also this park is internationally recognized by acquiring a special prize of European Garden Association. It was the 2nd place for the best reconstruction of historical parks. And if you come there, then you will find a big territory of landscape park, with several architectural objects like Love Pavilion, Sulphur Spring, Ķemeri Water Tower, and everywhere in the park there are information stands where in 3 languages is information about the historical background of those sites and of Ķemeri district altogether. Also, the park, after renovation, has a new children playground, so if you come with family, it will not be boring for children only to walk and read about historical background, but also smaller children can play in this playground and spend time while the adults or teenagers are really learning about the history. Speaking about activities, Ķemeri Water Tower particularly has a totally new role, let's say, because initially it was built as a water tower. It also had a panoramic platform, but after renovation in 3 years ago, we finished renovation and started also operate there. It continues to be a water tower, filling its this function of supplying water in Ķemeri district, but also it's a touristical site with 2 panoramic platforms on different height, and one of them is on the rooftop, where from the height of 42 meters, the visitors can observe vicinity of Ķemeri, and even in a good weather, it's possible to see the Riga Bay. And inside, on every floor, there is exhibitions which tells visitors about the history and development of Ķemeri district, about some prominent people who gave their input in the development of Ķemeri as a resort. So it's quite interesting site of industrial heritage where 2 things are combined. This industrial function of supplying water, and also as a touristical and this touristical side.
I'm just glad we didn't have this interview on the top, because I'm not very good with heights. And from the middle landing, that staircase, and I looked at it, it was just so safe, but it's not for someone who doesn't like heights. But are there any interesting or funny stories about Ķemeri's past?
Well, there is a legend about why Ķemeri is called Ķemeri. It tells that a long time ago, a ship wrecked in Riga Bay, because Riga Bay is has a lot of shallows, and actually it's true that we have a lot of sunk ships there in the bottom. So the ship wrecked, and almost all team has sunk, except for one sailor who reached the shore. He was totally exhausted, and he was crawling into the forest, and there he was bitten by a snake, and he was already totally sure that he will die in the night, but his hand, where was this, he's bitten by a snake, fell into the spring of water. And in the morning he woke up and he was totally healthy, and he understood that this was this water who helped him to survive. And he decided to stay in this district and help other people also to get cured of different diseases. And the name of this sailor was Ķemers. That's why the place was called Ķemeri after him. Well, this is a legend, but I would say that this legend is only partly a legend, because indeed there was a forester who first lived in this area, and as people started to come there, when they heard about this healing power of local natural resources, they started to come, but the infrastructure still was not built, so there were no hotels, not guest houses, so they stayed by local people. As the resort started to develop, this park was set up in 1838. Also, the first water treatment establishment, bath establishment, was also made. So they firstly stayed by local people, and then only step by step started to appear first hotels and small guest houses where people could stay. And then, yes, Ķemeri started to develop very fastly, and soon it became a well-known resort, and especially, of course, after the opening of Ķemeri Hotel. It was the time of the First Republic of Latvia, 20s, 30s of 20th century, when it was even fashionable to relax on Ķemeri Resort. Almost all prominent people of Latvia were the guests of this hotel. It was very expressive building. It was one of best examples of architecture in all 3 Baltic states. Even on the opening of this hotel were present all the prominences of that time, the military attaches, the diplomatic attaches in Latvia, and even a president of Latvia was present on the opening of the hotel. So Ķemeri was a separate city even at that time. Yes, it's a part of Jūrmala, but those times it was a totally independent, separate city. What is also interesting that until now there are rehabilitation centers which are using healing mud and mineral water in the treatments, almost the way how they are used are still the same. Still, people are coming to this swampy area where these medical muds are being created. They taking the mud, putting to this rehabilitation center, then cleaning from different small stones, pebbles, or some leaves. Mix it with mineral water, so there is a mixture of medical mud and mineral water, and then using it for applications for different parts of the body, or putting a person into the mud bath totally, all the body. And what is important that after the implementation of treatment, they do not throw out just in the rubbish bin this used mud, but they are putting it in a so-called regeneration hole. Mm-hmm. It's in nature, such special place where all this used mud had been put, and after lying there for 20 years, it can be used again. Mm-hmm. So it's a sustainable use of natural resources, and it's very good that we are doing it like that. The quantity of healing mud is quite big. Actually, if there could be several more such resort clinics or resort medical spa hotels, it would be enough for everyone to help people to get cured that way.
Thank you for sharing those stories. I visited the park and it looks wonderful. Very well renovated. It's beautiful just walking around. There weren't many people there. And neither did I see sort of services for tourists, like restaurants. There was one small cafe in the pavilion in the park, but I think that was about it. And a small convenience store in the town. And I wondered, with this regeneration, what's being done to attract more visitors to come to Ķemeri, and also the services that supply those visitors?
Well, after renovation, this park actually step by step is really becoming one of the most popular and top sites of visiting in Jūrmala. I have no precise statistical data about the number of visitors. I have only the number of visitors in the water tower. So they are around 30,000 per season, because water tower is open only from May till October. It's a seasonal site. I would say that totally the number of visitors of Ķemeri Park could be around 100,000 visitors per year. So it is really a good platform for developing small local businesses, and step by step they start to appear. Like you said, yes, like some catering. We have several local guides who are offering excursions in Ķemeri Park. So I think it's a future. Of course, from other side, it's maybe comfortable to walk there. So at the moment, really, park is very natural, quite quiet. So it's not also overloaded with some services, and you are feeling yourself by nature. So it's also important to keep this balance between some commerce and still the natural park, because when it was renovated, one of the challenges was not only reconstruction, but also obeying the rules of Ķemeri National Park, because it's a national territory where there are certain requirements of keeping nature, of not cutting trees. There is a lot of very old trees, 200 years, 100 years old trees, and that makes, I think, this atmosphere also very special. It's not a city park for just spending time in the city. It's a part of natural territory for revitalizing, for walking, for being with yourself. It's difficult to tell. It's better to come there and feel it. And also it's a place where, especially now in August and September, on the weekends, very often we have weddings. Because in Ķemeri, we have all three churches, Lutheran, Catholic, and Orthodox. It's main three confessions in Latvia. So local people like to get married in the churches, and then after that or before that or after that to walk in the park to make nice photos. And that, of course, when people see those newly married couples in white dresses, then it also makes people happier. And the thought that a lot of people start their families in this park, and they will have first pictures in their photo albums of their common life from this park. I think also it's very important and put the additional role to the park to be always well kept, ideal, so that the pictures are really quite nice. There is a pavilion which is called Pavilion of Love. It's located on the island of Love. And yes, speaking about the stories, a lot of people are asking why it's called Pavilion of Love, because there are weddings. No, it's because when it was built, then a couple of swans started to live there. And as swan symbolizing forever love, because those birds are monogamic couples, then people started to call this place Islet of Love and the Pavilion of Love. However, this pavilion was always coffee pavilion. It was built a coffee pavilion to drink coffee there. But now, of course, it looks so nice. It's white with columns, and newly married couples are taking pictures there. And there is even special metallic figures of birds where, according to our local tradition, they can put the key lock. Because there is a tradition that you put a key lock, lock it, and then throw a key away, like your love is forever. It's locked and no one can unlock this. So there is a special metallic birds where it's possible to put this lock. Yes, and also why there's this newly married couple are coming there, because there is another, I don't know, it's Latvian tradition or it's everywhere, that a groom should carry on the hands the bride over 7 bridges. So in this park, we have really more than 7 bridges over the river. So it's possible to make this attraction there. Come to this park and really you will enjoy the walk there any season. Autumn, it's very beautiful because the leaves are becoming red and yellow, and it's really very picturesque. In winter time, it's very romantic when the snow is falling, and there are lanterns everywhere in the park, so it's possible also to walk there in the evenings. It's beautiful. In springtime, there starts to blossom all the trees and roses that are in a big number there. Beautiful. In summertime, perfect. Also, everything is green and the smell of sulfur in the air. So really, it's worth visiting in any season.
Thank you very much indeed, Alexandra. In conclusion, Ķemeri is well worth a visit if you're staying in Riga or Jūrmala. It is so easy to get to. If you live far away, have a look at the many photos on Visit Jūrmala's website. Ķemeri occupies an important part of Latvia's history. There can be few other resorts in the world that have seen such wildly swinging highs and lows. The beautiful restored park with its monuments is still there, and no crowds. It is also on the doorstep to Ķemeri National Park, which we talked about in the episode on wetland bogs. Do go and see Ķemeri for yourself if you can.